My father betrayed me with my wife and thought I would forgive him. You ever have one of those moments where your whole life splits into before and after? Yeah, this was mine. It was just supposed to be a normal Tuesday, you know? Nothing special. I was working at the office when the system crashed. IT said it would take the rest of the day to fix it, so they sent us all home. Score, right? Early weekend, basically. On the drive home, I thought, hey, why not grab Taylor's favorite Thai food? Surprise her for lunch? We'd been married 2 years, and I mean, sure, marriage wasn't perfect, but whose is, right? I figured a surprise would earn me a few husband points. So, I pull up to Thai kitchen, grab our usual order, chicken pad Thai for her, green curry for me, and head home with a stupid grin on my face. But when I turned onto our street, something felt off. Dad's car was there, parked a few houses down. His navy blue Ford he polishes like it's made of glass. It was just sitting there. My first thought was like, weird. Maybe you dropped something off? But why was the engine cold? Why was it parked away from the driveway? I shook it off, carried the food to the door, still smiling. But inside the house was weirdly quiet. You know that heavy, eerie quiet? TV was on, sure, but it was barely a whisper. 2 coffee mugs on the living room table. Half full. Fresh. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. I called out, babe? Nothing. Maybe she was upstairs getting dressed or something? I don't know. I didn't think anything was wrong yet, but my gut was already twisting. I headed upstairs. That's when I heard it. Whispers. 2 voices. Dad's and Taylor's. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like ID swallowed a brick. I told myself, nah, chill out. You're jumping to conclusions. I wish I had been. I pushed open the bedroom door. And there they were. Not like naked or anything, but sitting way too close on the bed. Their foreheads touching. Their hands locked together like a damn Hallmark movie. And they weren't even shocked to see me. They just looked up, calm, like they'd been expecting me. Dad stood up real slow and said, we need to talk. And there I was, frozen in the doorway, holding takeout bags like the world's biggest idiot. We went downstairs, still holding the Thai food. I hadn't even dropped it yet. Dad sat across from me at the dining table, Taylor next to him, like this was just some normal family meeting. Like they weren't blowing my entire world to pieces. Taylor started first. She said, look, what you saw upstairs, it's not what it seems. Which, like, seriously? What was it supposed to seem like then? A father-daughter bake sale. But then she confessed that she and my dad, David, knew each other long before I met her. Like, they had history. Complicated, messy, unfinished history. She said they had been close. Very close. I just sat there staring at them, my brain barely registering what she was saying. Then I asked the stupidest, most obvious question ever. Are you having an affair? Dad looked me dead in the eye and said, it's more than that. We still love each other. You ever feel your body just turn cold? Like your blood freezes right there in your veins? That was me. Nobody jumped up yelling surprise. You're on candid camera. Nobody backtracked. They meant it. Then Taylor, God bless her clueless soul, starts explaining the solution they had cooked up. They didn't want to hurt me, see? They wanted us to stay legally married, but live separate lives under the same roof. No messy divorce. No family scandal. Just peaceful cohabitation while they played house together like nothing happened. Like I was supposed to just, what? Live downstairs while my wife cuddled my dad upstairs. Taylor even grabbed my hand, like she still had the right, and said, I care about you so much. Just not in that way anymore. And she said it like it was supposed to comfort me. I didn't even realize I was moving until I was already out the door. I didn't grab my keys. I didn't take my wallet. I just left. Walked until my feet went numb. I ended up at a little park near my office. Just sitting on a splintered bench, holding cold Thai food, wondering when the hell my life had turned into a reality show nightmare. I stayed there until it got dark. Phone buzzing in my pocket. Texts. Calls. Ignored them all. And you know what? That was just the beginning of the mess. So, yeah. After sitting at that busted old park bench till like midnight, I finally called Jake. Jake's been my best friend since high school. You know how some people drift apart after graduation? Yeah, not us. Jake's like my brother. Always has been. Anyway, I called him, voice all shaky like a damn kid who just crashed their bike. And the second he picked up, he knew something was wrong. Didn't even ask questions, just said, where are you? I'm coming. 15 minutes later, headlights sweep across the park. I get in his truck. And I must have looked rough because Jake just stares for a second and goes, "Dude, what the hell happened?" I couldn't even get it all out at first. Like, how do you even start with that? "Hey bro, funny thing, my wife's in love with my dad." So I just blurted it. All of it. Word vomit. The look on Jake's face, man. At first, he honestly thought I was messing with him, like pulling some sick joke. I mean, can you blame him? But when he realized I wasn't joking, when he saw my hand shaking, dude went silent. Like, completely silent for a long minute. Finally, he just shook his head and muttered, "Those two are out of their goddamn minds." And honestly, hearing him say it out loud was the first time I felt not crazy. We crashed at his place that night. Well, his couch, anyway. He even tossed me a blanket that smelled like Doritos and Mountain Dew, but, honestly, it felt like luxury compared to what ID left behind. I didn't sleep, though. Just laid there staring at the ceiling fan spinning like some stupid hypnotic wheel, thinking, how the hell did it get this bad? Next morning, Jake slapped a coffee in my hand, black, no sugar, the way he always takes it, and said, "So what's the move, man?" I told him straight, "I'm divorcing her. I don't care what solution they offered. I'm not living in a damn sitcom where my dad's my roommate and my wife's his girlfriend." Jake just nodded and said, "Good. Burn it down, bro, scorched earth." And that's when I realized I couldn't just walk away quietly. They wanted that. They wanted me to roll over, stay married on paper, so they could keep playing their little game and no one would talk. Nah, I was gonna blow it all up. First step, lawyer. I spent the next couple days in a fog, but one morning, after basically mainlining coffee, I finally called a divorce attorney Jake's cousin recommended. Woman named Deborah Myers. Tough as nails. The kind of lady who probably terrifies everyone at Thanksgiving dinner. I told her everything. And you know what she said after like 2 minutes of hearing my story? "You're about to have the ugliest divorce in this zip code. Let's make sure you win." Bless her. She told me to stay quiet for now, gather evidence, save all texts, emails, everything, and to absolutely, under no circumstances, agree to any deals. Meanwhile, Taylor and Dad, man, they kept blowing up my phone. Texts like, "We just want to talk. Please let's be mature about this. You're being dramatic." Being dramatic? Bruh. You cheat on me with my father and I'm the dramatic one? Yeah. No thanks. I didn't answer a single one. Instead, I stayed at Jake's, helped him fix up his back porch, just something to keep my hands busy. We painted, repaired the railings, even planted a few stupid flowers because why the hell not? And while we worked, Jake kept me sane, throwing out jokes, talking trash, making me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how. Then, about a weekend, Taylor sends a long-ass text. Paragraphs. She's saying she understands why I'm upset, oh, do you? That she and Dad still love me, lol, and that she's begging me to consider their original proposal, stay married, live separate lives, avoid public messes. She even framed it like, get this, an act of compassion. Compassion. My blood boiled reading it. Like, did they honestly think they were the victims here? Jake saw my face go red, grabbed my phone, read the message, and just burst out laughing so hard he almost dropped his beer. "Dude," he wheezed, "they really think you're the crazy one. Holy hell." And I laughed too. Real laughter. First time in days. Then I looked him dead in the eye and said, "I'm not just divorcing her. I'm telling the whole damn family. Because you know what? They made their choices. They don't get to keep their nice little masks while I'm bleeding out." It was time for the truth bombs to drop. But first, I needed to get my stuff back from the house. And I wasn't about to do it alone. Jake cracked his knuckles, grinned, and said, "Let's go get your life back, man." And that's how, a few days later, we rolled up to what used to be my house, not knowing the absolute circus that was waiting inside. So, Jake and I pulled up to my house, right? And immediately, I knew something was wrong. The place looked perfect. Like, weirdly perfect. Like somebody was trying way too hard to make it look normal. The lawn was freshly mowed. Front porch had been swept. And when I opened the front door, man, it smelled like chocolate chip cookies. Taylor had baked. Taylor, who burns frozen pizza, had baked. It was like walking onto a movie set. Or, honestly, like stepping into some weird cult recruitment meeting. Jake followed me inside, muttering under his breath, "Man, this is giving serious step forward wives vibes." And he wasn't wrong. There they were, Taylor and Dad, sitting on the couch, side by side, like a damn united front. Taylor smiled, and said, "We're so glad you came." I didn't answer. I didn't sit. I just said, "I'm here to grab some documents and a few clothes." That's it. And right away, boom, Dad stands up like he's about to deliver some inspirational speech. He says, Son, don't you think you're overreacting a little? Overreacting. I just blinked at him. He kept going, man. Said they were trying to handle things maturely. Said they had been honest with me, that it wasn't like I caught them sneaking around behind my back. That they trusted me enough to tell me the truth. Like somehow that was supposed to make me grateful. Jake, standing behind me, was clenching his fists so tight his knuckles went white. Then Taylor chimed in. Soft, sugary voice. Talking about preserving the family, setting boundaries, respecting new dynamics. New dynamics? Lady, this isn't some corporate merger. You're sleeping with my dad. What the hell kind of dynamic do you think I'm signing up for? I didn't say any of that though. I just stayed quiet. Gathered my papers from the office, started throwing clothes into a duffel bag. But of course, they couldn't just leave it alone. Taylor followed me from room to room. Talking, begging, pleading. Said she still loved me, just not like that anymore. Said she didn't want me out of her life completely. Said she thought maybe, one day, we could redefine our relationship. Redefine. Like I was a damn settings menu she could just tweak when she got bored. At one point, she even, and I swear I'm not making this up, grabbed my arm and said, maybe we can all sit down sometime, have lunch, talk about boundaries. Lunch. With my wife and my dad. I looked at her, dead serious, and said, I'd rather eat broken glass. She gasped. Dad looked furious. Jake almost choked trying to hold in a laugh. I zipped up my duffel bag and headed for the door. And right as I was leaving, right as my hand hit the doorknob, Dad said, Son, whatever happens, we're still family. Family. Right. You ever hear something so stupid it makes you feel physically ill? Yeah, that. I didn't even turn around. Just walked out, slammed the door behind me, and kept walking until Jake jogged up beside me. We didn't even talk until we got to his truck. He threw my bag in the back seat, turned to me, and said, Dude, you handled that like a champ. I would have flipped the table. And honestly, I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But part of me was just done. Too tired to scream. Too tired to fight. I was out. Out of that house. Out of that nightmare. At least, I thought I was. Because the next day, Taylor sent me an email. Subject line, a new proposal. And what she suggested. It made the first family deal sound downright sane. So the next morning, right? I'm half asleep, chugging coffee at Jake's kitchen table, scrolling through my phone, just trying to exist. And then I see it. Email from Taylor. Subject line, a new proposal. My stomach dropped. Like, instant gut punch feeling. I almost deleted it without reading, but part of me, the dumb curious part, needed to know how deep this rabbit hole went. So I opened it. And, man, I swear you can't make this stuff up. Basically, Taylor said she'd given it more thought, because apparently cheating on your husband with his father isn't enough chaos, and she had a brilliant new plan. She said she and Dad wanted to formalize their relationship, meaning they wanted to date publicly. Yeah, like, go to brunch, hold hands at the mall, post cringy Facebook selfies. As a couple. But, they didn't want to make it weird for the family. So, her idea? We would all stay legally connected for a while to ease the transition for everyone. Meaning, I stay legally married to Taylor. She dates my dad openly. We all pretend it's chill. And eventually, get this, she suggested we could even rebuild a new kind of family bond. Like, family holidays together. Maybe even vacations. She literally said, and I quote, it might be uncomfortable at first, but with time, it could feel natural. Natural. I slammed my coffee mug down so hard Jake thought it cracked. He looked over, mouthful of cereal, and said, Dude, tell me you're kidding. I handed him the phone. He read the email. Slowly. Then again. Then he just leaned back in his chair, laughing so hard he almost fell over. Dude, he gasped between laughs, this chick needs to be institutionalized. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. But it wasn't funny to me. It was heartbreaking. And infuriating. How the hell could someone be so blind? So selfish? So freaking delusional? I sat there for a long time just staring out Jake's window at the backyard, watching squirrels run across the fence like they didn't have a care in the world. Meanwhile, my whole damn life was a dumpster fire. Finally, Jake asked the million-dollar question. So, what are you gonna do? And I told him the truth. I'm done playing nice. No more being quiet. No more protecting their dirty little secret. If they wanted to play house? Fine. But the whole damn family was gonna know exactly what they were. It was time to blow it all up. That weekend, Aunt Susan was hosting one of her classic Sunday potlucks. You know, those big family things where everybody brings a casserole, all the kids run around like wild animals, and the adults gossip over cheap wine? Normally, I'd skip. Honestly, who needs another plate of lukewarm green bean casserole? But this time, This time I was going to show up. And I was bringing truth bombs for dessert. Jake offered to come with me for backup, but I told him no. This was something I had to do alone. I showed up late, holding a store-bought apple pie like some kind of peace offering. Walked through the front door. And there they were, Dad and Taylor, sitting side by side on Aunt Susan's couch, smiling, laughing, looking for all the world like nothing was wrong. I almost turned around and walked back out. Almost. But then Dad saw me. And he smiled, this big, fake, sunny smile, and stood up like he was about to welcome me back into the fold. Hey, son. Glad you made it. And Taylor, ever the actress, gave this tiny, nervous little wave. I felt my heart hammering in my chest. Felt my hands clench around the pie tin. But I forced myself to walk in. Forced myself to sit down across from them. Forced myself to smile back. Because if they wanted a show, oh, they were going to get one. I waited until most of the family had settled in. Until people were laughing, eating, relaxing. Until the moment felt safe. And then I stood up, cleared my throat, and said, loud enough for the whole damn house to hear, I just want to say how great it is to see family, especially my wife and my father, who have decided to start dating each other while I'm still legally married to her. Dead silence. Like, you could hear the forks hitting plates. All heads whipped toward me. Dad's face went ghost white. Taylor looked like she was about to pass out. I just stood there, breathing heavy, looking each and every one of them in the eye. And I said, yeah, you heard me right. So, after I dropped that little truth bomb, the room stayed frozen for like 3 full seconds. Longest 3 seconds of my life. Then oh chaos. Aunt Susan gasped so loud you'd think she witnessed a murder. One of my cousins dropped his paper plate, baked beans splattering everywhere. And my uncle, who was mid-bite of potato salad, just sat there, fork halfway to his mouth, blinking like a broken robot. Dad stood up fast, knocking his drink over, and stammered, son, that's not exactly fair. Fair? Fair? I laughed. Like, honest to God laughed. It just burst out of me, sharp and ugly and painful. Fair? I repeated, shaking my head. You want to talk about fair, Dad? You're sleeping with my wife. You could practically feel the oxygen get sucked out of the room. Taylor, bless her heart, actually tried to spin it. She stood up too, voice all shaky, saying, it's not like that. We didn't mean for it to happen. Emotions are complicated. Bro, complicated is burning your Thanksgiving turkey. Complicated is forgetting your Netflix password. This was betrayal. Plain and simple. And Susan finally found her voice. She looked between me, Dad, and Taylor and said, is this true? And Taylor, God bless her stupid honesty, nodded. Somewhere behind me, a chair scraped back fast. Somebody left the room, probably to puke. Meanwhile, Dad tried to regain control. He actually, seriously started preaching about how love isn't always need, and sometimes connections happen where you least expect them, and how we needed to move forward with maturity. Jake wasn't even there, but I could hear his voice in my head. Burn it down, bro. So I did. I turned to the whole room, to my aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins, and laid it all out. I told them about catching Dad and Taylor whispering upstairs. Told them about the living separate lives under one roof deal they tried to sell me. Told them about Taylor's insane email about family vacations and redefining our bond. By the time I was done, man, the room was radioactive. Aunt Susan flat out said, David, you should be ashamed of yourself. One of my cousins muttered something about white trash nonsense under his breath. Another grabbed his kids and left. Dad tried to argue. Oh, he tried. Said love was complicated. Said we shouldn't judge. But nobody was buying it. Not anymore. Taylor just stood there crying, like that would fix everything. Tears streaming down her face. Mascara smudging. And you know what? I didn't feel a damn thing. Not pity. Not anger. Just emptiness. It was like a switch flipped inside me. These two people I loved, they weren't who I thought they were. They never had been. And standing there, surrounded by family who now looked at them like strangers, I realized something. I was free. Not just from Taylor. Not just from Dad. But from all of it. The pretending. The fake smiles. The constant anxiety of trying to keep everything looking perfect. Gone. I set the pie down on the table, untouched, turned to Aunt Susan, and said, thanks for dinner. Then I walked out, got in my truck, drove back to Jake's without even looking in the rearview mirror. And when I got there, I told Jake everything, every ugly, painful detail, and he just sat there shaking his head. Dude, he said, you didn't just burn the bridge. You nuked it. And for the first time since this whole nightmare started. I smiled. A real smile. Not forced. Not bitter. Just relief. But, and there's always a but, right? This wasn't the end. Because even after all that, Dad and Taylor weren't done yet. They had one final move, and it was somehow even worse than I could have imagined. So, after dropping that bomb at Aunt Susan's potluck, after walking out with half the family in stunned silence behind me, I figured that was it. Like, surely even they would get the message, right? Surely they'd realize it was over. Man, I gave them too much credit. Couple days later, I got a letter taped to Jake's front door. An actual handwritten letter. From Dad. I stood there holding it, debating whether to even open it. Jake looked over from the couch, a beer in his hand, and said, "Dude, you sure you want to read that garbage?" I didn't answer, just tore it open. And it was worse than I expected. Dad said he was sorry for the pain this caused me, but not sorry for following his heart. He said he and Taylor were thinking about building a future together, and they wanted to do it with my blessing. Because, according to him, they couldn't truly be happy knowing I was still hurting. They needed closure, you see. They needed peace. He ended the letter by asking if we could sit down and talk it out, as adults, and heal. Heal. I laughed. A hollow, bitter laugh. Jake watched me, eyebrows raised. "Let me guess," he said. "They want to be happy, and you're just supposed to eat a crap sandwich and smile." Pretty much nailed it. I crumpled the letter right there on the porch and tossed it straight into the trash can. No ceremony. No hesitation. Because the truth was, there wasn't anything left to say. They'd made their choices, and now they had to live with them. But, you know what? They didn't stop. Next thing I knew, distant cousins I barely spoke to were texting me. Some saying I should try to forgive because family is forever. Others saying they were staying neutral, which, let's be honest, is just a fancy way of picking a side without owning it. Jake called it flying monkeys. Said it was a classic manipulation move. And he was right. Because after I ignored those texts, Taylor sent one last message. This one wasn't begging. It wasn't sweet. It was desperate. She said she missed me. Said she missed our life together. That she wished things could go back to the way they were before. Before what? Before she decided to hook up with my dad behind my back? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have words, but because she didn't deserve them. Some people, you don't owe them closure. You don't owe them forgiveness. You owe yourself peace. It's been a few months now. The divorce is final. The house, my house, is back in my name, and honestly, it feels different walking through it alone. Empty, but in a good way. Like tearing down old wallpaper you hated but lived with for too long. I repainted every room. Sledgehammered the ugly planter box Taylor always loved. Ripped up the carpet we picked out together and replaced it with something I chose. It's mine now. All of it. And Dad? I haven't spoken to him since the letter. Last I heard, he and Taylor tried dating officially, but, didn't exactly last long. Shocking, right? Apparently when the thrill of betrayal wears off, all you're left with is two broken, selfish people who don't even like each other that much. Good riddance. You know. Jake asked me once if I regretted any of it. If I regretted blowing up the family. Blowing up the illusion. And I thought about it. Seriously thought about it. But no, I don't regret telling the truth. I don't regret walking away. I only regret ever believing people like that deserved a second chance. Because sometimes, the real healing starts the moment you stop hoping people will change. You just let them go. And you let yourself heal instead. So, funny thing? About 6 months after all that mess, Jake and I were grabbing burgers at this little spot downtown. You know, just chilling, talking about life. We're sitting by the window, minding our own business, when Jake suddenly chokes on his fries and points out the window like some kid seeing Bigfoot. I turn and oh man, there they were, Dad and Taylor, arguing. Loud enough that people on the sidewalk were straight up stopping to watch. I'm talking full-on finger-pointing, flailing arms, Taylor crying mascara rivers down her face, Dad waving his arms like he's trying to swat invisible bees. It was beautiful, like watching a slow-motion car crash you're not involved in. At one point, she threw a drink at him, not kidding, a whole iced coffee right across his chest. Jake leaned over, smirking, and said, "Karma runs faster when you cheat with your son's wife, huh?" I laughed. A real, deep, good laugh. We finished our burgers, paid the check, and walked out past them like they didn't even exist. No words. No looks. Just silence. Because honestly, their chaos wasn't my problem anymore. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt free. And be honest, have you ever had something like this happen in your life? Maybe not this crazy, but a moment where someone you trusted just completely betrayed you? What did you do? How did you get through it? Drop your story in the comments. I'd really love to read it. And who knows? Maybe your story will help someone else who's going through the same thing right now. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away and never look back. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care of yourself.